Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. As you can see, I've got quite a short watch list for today, just euro dollar. There seems to be a lot of pairs that could look really nice for next week, or at least going into next week. They just need some more time to develop their potential structures. And with it obviously being a Friday, I don't think one day is going to be enough for them to actually shape up something for us to look to enter today, especially going into the weekend. So, like I've spoken about before over some of the past weeks, on Fridays, it's kind of like through the day, I start to, in the back of my mind, build my watch list for next week, depending on what the pairs look like and where they're positioned. If they don't change much through today, I'll kind of start to know some pairs, maybe 2 to 3 pairs that are already going to make my watch list for next week. So it just helps with the watch list building over the weekend, that I've kind of given myself a bit of a head start with it. So that is actually something that I didn't used to do last year. I would just get to Friday, wipe all of the charts, start fresh, and then start to build over the weekend. But this year, I've become much more in tune with Fridays being quite a key day to start to build that pre-watch list to make it easier at the weekend. So there are a couple of pairs that I've got on the sidelines that will potentially make next week's watch list already. But for today, the focus is just euro dollar, just this one pair. The DXY, we have had that reaction from the high that I spoke about in the start of the week, and we've had this follow through. So really what it's going to be now is, do we get the continuation here after the push to see that completion at the low and fill this gap? That will be the key next move, because that will confirm that this is not just a short-term move for price to break back to the upside. Once we start to get the continuation here, that will give us much more confirmation of the lows being met, and then we'll go again to see what sort of price action we get at this base, and whether all price was wanting to do was fill this gap, tap into that sharp structure on the left, take this low out, and then we get the bigger move to the upside, because it's in these moves when key areas like this are met, where it may hang around for a few days and then we get that move away that we've been waiting for. And it's in these moves and these runs that you can make a lot of money, because we've got a clear target and we're getting clear price action. So this is still a really good area. We just need to make sure we get some kind of follow through afterwards, after the push, to make sure price doesn't just spin back around again and start reaching up for these highs. And that will give us a much better idea. So euro dollar for today, as you know, like I've mentioned previously, this is just the opposite of the DXY. So the DXY has met its high and sold off. Euro dollar's met its low, and we've had that push. And now all I'm looking for is just a straightforward continuation, which would be the same as what I just mentioned we would like the DXY to do, is just build a continuation to continue selling off. All I'm looking for euro dollar to do is build the same continuation to head long. So something like this would be absolutely ideal to look for that risk entry at the third touch. You could probably get in with 15, 16 pip stop quite easily. Just to the top of the structure, you got 2.8. First inflection point, just over 4.5, and that's just in this short move. So if the DXY does build that continuation and starts to head towards that main low that I spoke about, then we've got this whole run that we can potentially take advantage of to the upside. So we'll have to wait and see how this shapes up, because looking at the size of this, it will again most likely be next week. But things can happen quicker than we expect, and this is something that can still develop, and just develop a little bit quicker than we thought it would, and still give us an entry. So I do want to be watching this through today to see what we get. And this will be one pair that, if it doesn't shape up today, we'll make the watch list for next week. Unless price starts messing around, it just drops through, then that may be different. But at the moment, as long as, if you look at the 15, we've got that base. We've got this base here that we can work with. We've had to move off. As long as price finds this base here and we get that second top, that would be prime to then look for that risk entry long. And this structure is big enough and has built up enough volume to at least send it, 90% of these highs. And this run here, you could easily be looking at 6-7 to 1 just in that move. And if that then means the DXY is finding its base down here or here, then in that whole move and that sell off on the DXY, we can take advantage of the longs back up into these highs. And that's such a simple structure, because price has found a base, impulse, correction, continuation. It's just a 1, 2, 3 again. It's all we're playing. And we've got a clear target. All of these minor inflection points, there may be, price may have a little fight at these, but when you get such a clear structure like this build after an impulse, most of the time price just smashes through areas like this because it's done enough. So that's literally all I'm looking for today. And even if this is a pair that I monitor to see how it looks going into market close tonight, that maybe we've found the base and we've started to push up, and then come next week, all we need is that last leg, then this will definitely be a pair that will be staying on watch for me going into next week. So that may be something that you could start to try and do, where you come into the Friday and you're already kind of sidelining a couple of pairs that will make your watch list, just so that when you do get to the weekend to build your pairs, you're already starting from a solid foundation of, right, euro dollars going on, Aussie dollars going on, and that also starts to give you a good idea of potentially the dollar continuing to be weak. So you just build this kind of you get pre-thoughts going into the weekend, rather than just rocking up, say on a Saturday morning and feeling like you're starting from ground zero, because there's not really any need to. You've been on the price action all week, forecasting on top of what price is doing. Nothing has changed from Friday to Saturday, and it just keeps you more on the ball, that you can go into the weekend already with, like I say, 3 to 5 pairs that you may already like today, and post-market close that can just go straight onto your list. So that's what I'll be doing through today, monitoring this to see if we do get this base and we start to get the push up, and we'll see where a lot of the pairs end up closing tonight, market close, and then look at the weeklies and see where they're positioned ready for next week. So I hope you all have a good weekend, and if you do implement something like what I've spoken about into your watch list, then let me know below, because it certainly helps me. And I will catch you all on Monday morning for a fresh week.